So I was like, but really, how does that work? I was like, how does that really work? Okay, I explained it to Kristen. Hey, you want to teach it?
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
I explained it yesterday to Kristen. So I had to do this, like dive into, like, how does this really work? Okay, so let me erase this. And let me see if I can tell it to you, because we're about to go into like function and stuff, okay? So liver and kidneys are the big detox organs. But, and it often says, it is said that if like the liver is struggling, it'll send more to the kidneys and vice versa, It'll load up whoever isn't functioning very well, will load up the other blood organ detox. So you realize that we have blood organs. Spleen, liver, kidneys are blood organs, all right? So we have our small intestines, right? And then in the small intestines, remember in the mesentery, in that big fascia that makes that connection to the root, we have all these arteries. Remember this? All these veins, right? Picking up what they're putting down. So it's picking up, remember, that we have these one cell thick small intestine, wall of the small intestine, and it's absorbing into there, okay? So all nutrients, toxins, all the stuff that's coming from food is now going to, it's broken down enough, hopefully. It's chyme, so this takes that, as your question had, to the hepatic portal vein, okay? Is going up to your liver, all righty? So it's going up to the liver, all right? It's going to do its thing in the liver, which we talked about. Now, here's the thing. When it does its thing, so we have in the liver, we have phase 1, and we have phase 2 of detox, which we actually talked about, which I looked at a little bit more deeply. Is phase 1, it has the glutathione, and some of the B vitamins are doing a breakdown in phase 1, and if anybody has more, if I'm messing this up or they know more, please don't hesitate to share. So phase 1 is breaking everything down to make it more water soluble. So this is happening in phase 1 of detox, making it more water soluble, okay? So phase 2 has all those other conjugation pathways that I told about, methylation, glucuronidation, glutathionation, there's 6 of them, these conjugation pathways. We're not getting into them again, I read them to you last time. So what's happening is you're getting a further breakdown. Now here, what's now happening is you get everything that's broken down is broken down into 2 groups, okay? So you have the toxins, not the stuff that's going to get stored, not the glycogen, not the amino acids, not that stuff. We're not talking about that. We're just in this detox phase of pathway. Okay, so now we have group 1. Okay, we have group 1 and we have group 2. I should have done a 2. Anyway, we get it. Group 1 is where, and it's not a hierarchy, it's just there's 2 groups. So group 1 is stuff that can't get broken down that much. So when it can't get broken down that much, what does group 1 do? Group 1, all of that stuff, the molecules attached to a bile molecule. A molecule of bile. So that idea that bile was only about breaking down fats is not true. What it does do is it attaches to, so whatever doesn't break down enough gets attached to a molecule of bile.
I just wanted to add that it's typically the fat-soluble waste products that are attaching to the bile to get them out.
Great. So this is now going to go through the gallbladder. So if we track this into the bile, where's it going? It's going into your gallbladder. Where's it going to go from the gallbladder? We just did it. We just said it. Into the D2, right? Through OD. And now what it's going to do is it's going to go through the small intestines, and when it gets to the third part. I told you this in your last class. It gets to the third part of the small intestine, which is what? What is it?
What's it called?
What's it called? Ileum. It's called the ileum. So what happens is, as it gets close to, goes through the ileum and gets close to the ileocecal valve, it releases, most of the bile releases off, okay, and gets reabsorbed and goes back to the liver. But it's letting all of those particles, the toxins, go into the large intestine. Okay? So that's group one. That's that pathway. You get me? Everybody understand? That group one's pathway?
I just have another piece of information from
Please.
reading that I've done, is that not all of the toxins are dropped off. They can recirculate,
Yeah.
and so eating a lot of soluble fiber will grab onto the bile
Great.
and excrete it.
Great.
So that the body is then forced to make new clean bile, and we are constantly getting rid of it and not recycling the toxins and
Great. Great.
hormones and
Brilliant.
stuff.
Yeah, they say that a little percentage of the bile goes with, and that some of it gets reabsorbed. And you know what? Soluble fiber, though, is that don't get fooled by what is good fiber for the gut. See, that's what people think is, they get fooled by what's really good fiber. But things like chia and hemp and those things are the better fibers for your gut versus you eating some whole wheat bread and that kind of thing.
Avocados are a good source of fiber.
Fat.
It's fat, though. Do avocados have fiber? They do?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Beans,
I don't-
beans and legumes are.
Okay.
Beans
Yeah.
that, beans
Just to
that,
like add
yeah.
on to what Helen was saying, the thing that can also happen though is if you eat a lot of fat with the fiber, then you don't have it available, it's already attached to the fat molecule, it's not available for this detoxification process. So it's good to this is specifically too for people who are having a lot of trouble with like liver detox. To like almost medicinally eat fiber-rich foods away from fats,
Great,
so that you can have them
Great.
available to grab the bile.
great, great.
That makes sense.
It does make
Great.
sense. It does make sense. Yeah. Yeah, there's this book called Fiber Fueled by this doctor who, he went off on a track, and he's a doctor, and I forget what he was. I forget if he was a cardiologist or a gastroenterologist, I forget, maybe he was a gastroenterologist, but he didn't start studying this because he didn't start studying all what really helps a gut. His book is all about gut health. And he actually did it because he met a woman who was vegetarian. And so he was kind of overweight and whatever, and then he began to take a little of her stuff on and do that, and then he began to research into it, and then this guy looks so young, I have to tell you. His pictures of him before and his pictures now, he like de-aged himself by becoming vegetarian the way he is, and really balanced and all that kind of stuff. I think it's just hard to be a balanced vegetarian is what I think. But anyway, so thank you everybody for helping here. That's super great. Okay, so now we have phase 2, which you can also help me with, okay? But here we go. This took me a minute here, because I really wondered if, how are the toxins, this was my question, was how are the toxins really getting out of the body? And so, Fenya said, hepatic, so group 2. So we have that hepatic vein that's going back to the vena cava. So we have it in the vena cava, right? So from the liver, you have the phase 2 guys are in the blood that's going to the liver. Now you guys, this is what I understood from all that I was reading. So if I'm full of hooey, help me, okay? These people who have studied this. Okay. So in my mind, this vena cava is going back, it's going to go up and go into the heart, right? So you've got stuff from the phase 2 stuff. It's more soluble. It's water soluble. And it's smaller molecules. So I'm saying that. It's more, it's broken down more, and it's in the goes into the vena cava, so your heart is not necessarily receiving clean blood. Okay? So, it's going from the heart, and when it goes over here and goes to the lung, you're not talking about pristinely clean blood, but it's getting oxygenated there. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, because you have blood that's feeding the heart, which is separate from the blood that's traveling through it,
Yes.
as like the vortex.
Well, I'm not talking about the blood that's feeding the heart.
Right, exactly, so it's
I
like
get
less
it. It's not-
important that it's clean, because it's not what's actually,
No, because,
Feeding
but
the heart.
I'm not talking about what's feeding the muscle of the heart.
right,
I understand that, and I understand what you're saying, but when I think about this, and it goes through the heart and does all this processes, and then when it leaves you'll get this when you get to the heart class, and it leaves from the left ventricle, where's it going? It's now, this blood is going in the aorta, okay? It's going in the aorta, but the thing about it is, it's coming from and you have an aortic arch, right here. So now I have this blood that has these micro whatevers, this broken down, water-soluble stuff, but here, I have these blood vessels that are going up to the brain, to me, that's feeding, like, going to the brain. You know what I'm saying? So, and I get what you're saying, because I'm not talking about what's feeding, what is the blood that's actually in the liver itself, not that's getting processed in the liver. So every organ has, or these organs have, the processes that are going on inside, but also blood that's also for them themselves. So we have this aorta, and here we go, and we just saw the aorta come through the respiratory diaphragm, okay? So we must have blood vessels off the lungs. We saw the celiac coming off, didn't we? And then we have renal. So here's the renal. Now it's coming to get the other detox part. But it took me a minute to be able to go, oh, because I couldn't, like, how is it getting to the kidneys, and where is it, and how, I was really in this quandary about, finally, after all these years of, like, just teaching, like, my teaching actually had it, where I was only looking at the kidney and looking at, structure and function there, but also, I mean, you've got these pathways of the way detox is actually getting out, and that was my interest. Okay, fine. I was excited about it, I can tell you're not.
No, so I'm thinking actually through
Oh,
it
are
right
you?
now.
All
It's
right,
not that I'm not
okay.
excited, because then I realized that because it's more water soluble, that's how it gets filtered through the nephrons in the kidney, that then goes through the ureter and goes into the bladder to be
Yes.
exposed. So
Yes.
that's the
We're
next
going-
piece
yeah,
of,
We're going there now.
Were you also going to, like, because you said that obviously the brachiocephalic trunk that comes off of the aortic arch and goes to the brain, so were you thinking that some of the molecules that have now attached themselves to the smaller toxins are going up to the
Oh,
brain?
yes, that's what that's about,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking. And the brain, that blood-brain barrier, and the more toxic you are, the more, so not only do you have it where we had the small intestine and we have that leaky gut, where it's all getting into the bloodstream here in the leaky gut part that's doing that, but also we have it from coming in the second part of the detox stuff, where it's breaking down even further, becoming more water soluble. That's going into the bloodstream, and that's circulating through everything till it gets down to where it goes into the renals, and then, which I thought was like, yeah,
I'm just trying to process what you said.
okay.
Am I understanding correctly that you're saying it goes in phase 2, the water soluble and smaller particles go into the vena cava, and then some of them go to the heart?
It all goes to the heart from
So
the,
it all
goes
goes
to
to
the
the
heart.
heart and then down through the renal artery?
it all goes, everything goes from all of that goes back into the vena cava.
Right, but
And
then
that goes to the heart.
all
It
of it.
circulates, it goes from the heart, which you'll learn how the heart works, but it goes into the right, comes up at the top, goes from here to the lungs. So it goes into the lungs. comes back to the heart, and then it goes from the bottom of the left, it goes up into this aorta. From the aorta, we have branches that are gonna go up to the brain, up to the, through the neck and up and all that. And then you get the aorta coming over, makes its arch, comes down, and you have different branches coming off before it even gets to the renal, before it even gets to the kidneys.
So the water soluble molecules that they have been added with their binders and sorted in the liver, and then they go through that whole pathway before they get eliminated from the kidneys. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
But I think one thing
I felt like
that's
that.
also important to know is that when your liver is functioning well, it's already really been deactivated. Like you
Yes.
don't have like active, like you don't have like dangerous waste molecules in there that are circulating into the brain. And
If your liver is working well.
yeah,
Have you
they have
met
like
one?
conjugated, they
100%.
change, they become less
Yeah.
problematic, and then
Yes,
eventually they're gonna
all
come
through
and
all
be
these
treated
pathways,
that way.
yes.
But they're always circulating waste products
In the
whole
bloodstream.
body, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
So it was my understanding, or misunderstanding, that back at the beginning, 1 and 2, the molecular weights had something to do with whether it
Yes,
became
the
water
molecular
soluble.
weight of one attaches to bile. The bigger the weight, the bigger the molecular weight, it's in group 1 and attaches to bile. So you're correct. There is a molecular weight piece to it.
And so there's a sorting process that,
Well, I don't know if I'd say sorting, I would just say, there's molecules circulating and those are gonna
And they
attach
attract to
to bile.
just
They're
attract
gonna
to
attract
different-
to the bile.
Okay.
Mhm.
to different types of,
it's like
Binders.
a method.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And definitely, give me 1 second, Alice, and definitely what Lindsay is saying is all those processes that we're talking about are breaking it down, rendering it into something, as she said, deactivated, definitely. But I used to think that, somehow my head had, although the vena cava takes the used blood back up, I'm in, anything that hits that heart is all
Clean.
clean and good and whatever, but it's not, and it's